everywhere. Basically, this guy named Moshiach Now sponsored infinite food, literally 24/7 food, and also housing for lots of guests, basically. And these guys were just taking some videos of it, so I figured I might as well get inspired to keep on continuing the videos, even though I just did earlier. Yeah, they have workers here that literally work here 24/7 to give food for everyone, and they make this food all the time here. They have like this little kitchen in the back. You can see them actually making it in real time, relatively speaking. Actually, I was actually here, but whatever. But people were here not so long ago, and they were making food even not so long ago. And yeah, basically, we're just finishing the Jewish New Year, where the Jewish New Year happened about 3 weeks ago, and then after the Jewish New Year itself, there was a series of holidays that lasted for 3 weeks, approximately, give or take. And during those 3 weeks, we essentially draw down a new light of the Creator into the universe. That's what the idea of what the Jewish New Year is about. When the Jewish New Year happens, it's not just the beginning of the year, but the Jewish New Year is called the head of the year in the Torah, and we're actually in the Talmud, technically speaking, but still, it's called the head of the year because it includes within itself, just like the head includes all the limbs of the body. The New Year in Judaism includes within it all of the different days of the year, and however the head goes, the body follows. So anyway, before we continue here, you can witness these people enjoying their food and their meal here in this nice Suka. It's a temporary structure that's built for the Jewish holiday with like a leaf or bamboo covering where people sit in for the holiday, and then we just finished the holiday, but people are still eating it because they didn't have time to take it down yet. But yeah, basically a lot of places, a lot of people I'm trying to find a good place to sit. And yeah, basically here we are. And let's try there's nothing really prop us up with. Here we go. Let's
קשה לי, אני לא מוכז. אני לא יכול קצת להיות. זה מה יכול להיות? יכול להיות שגם צודק. יכול להיות שבאמת הוא אפשר לזה לדיון אחרים. אבל, יש פה סבבה. אני אראה ואומר.
Welcome. Here we are in the Rabashkin Suka, it's called, where people gather. They did gather for the Jewish New Year, but now the New Year is over, but they're still gathered here. Essentially, the Jewish New Year is called the in Judaism, it's called the head of the year. It's not just the beginning of the year. It's like an entirely new stage of reality. Just move back here so we can talk a little louder. Yeah, the Jewish New Year is called in the Talmud the head of the year. It's not just the beginning. It's not just the beginning of the year, but there's like a head includes within it all of the different parts of the body. The Jewish New Year includes within it all the different days of the year. So the Jewish New Year started 3 weeks ago, and then after that, then there was a series of other holidays that than all the light that's ever existed in the world beforehand. And that's what the Jewish New Year happens through the Jewish people's prayers on the Jewish New Year itself. And then after the Jewish people's prayers and after they blow this certain ram's horn that they do on the Jewish New Year, then through the other holidays and through the different rituals on the other holidays, they draw down this infinite light, this new light that they created on the Jewish New Year, and they draw that down into the physical world. We are not, for those wondering in the comments, we are not underground. We are on the street level, on President Street, and between Brooklyn and Kingston Avenue in New York City. And this is basically one of the holidays after the Jewish New Year is called Sukkot, where the Jewish people build these temporary structures with these bamboo roofs that are visible to the stars, theoretically, if there were stars in New York. And then they eat in this temporary structure outside, specifically. It has to be open to the sky. And they eat here for 7 days. And then right after that 7-day holiday, there's a different holiday which lasts for 2 days, where the Jewish people celebrate finishing the Torah. And then after that, we have the Sabbath, which happens every 7 days. But this year it happened immediately after the other 2-day holiday. So we basically had 3 days of extravaganza holidays. So basically, we just had 3 days of holiday, and now this is like the night after we finished. Not only this holiday, the past couple days, but this whole set of holidays that lasted for 3 weeks since the Jewish New Year 3 weeks ago. The Jewish people started celebrating these new holidays, and we just finished officially the last of the holidays just today, and so people are just winding down. Meal after meal, it was insane. Someone said, and yeah, basically all the holidays except for one, we eat nonstop. One of the holidays is actually a fast day, so we don't eat, but the day before, it's actually a mitzvah to eat. So we eat the day before Yom Kippur, the Jewish fast day. But then, after that, the Jewish holidays are pretty much all eating. So first there's the Jewish New Year, 3 weeks ago. The point of the Jewish New Year, the head of the Jewish New Year, was to bring down a new light into the world that never existed before, that sustains the world and creates the entire world anew and gives it new spiritual energy for the whole year. So that's the idea of the Jewish New Year, to actually create the new light, whatever that means, as it's explained in a lot of places. But then after the light is created on the Jewish head of the year, then there's a bunch of other holidays afterwards, and the purpose of those holidays is, according to the Hassidic, Kabbalisticalized deeper meanings, is to draw down that new light which was created on the Jewish New Year. But when it was created on the Jewish New Year, it was only created in the spiritual worlds, but it still has to be transferred to the physicality world. And so the point of the other holidays after the Jewish head of the year is to transfer that infinite light from the spiritual worlds where it's created into the physical worlds. And then that's the point of the other rituals that go on throughout the past 3 weeks. And for example, after the Jewish New Year, there's 7 days of repentance, it's called, where the Jewish people increase in prayer a lot more than usual, and they say certain prayers which are meant to like elicit this new light of the kingdom, the kingship of the Creator into the world. And then afterwards, we have the Jewish fast day called Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, where the Jewish people don't eat for 25 hours straight or drink anything. It's pretty brutal, actually. So that was 10 days after the Jewish New Year. And then afterwards, 5 days after that, there's a different holiday called the holiday of Sukkot, of booths, where the Torah, the Creator, commanded the Jewish people to build these temporary structures that are like meant to be a replacement for their house, and live in them for 7 days, and like eat in them, hang out in them for 7 days. And the main part of the temporary structures is they have to have at least 2.5 walls with this leaf or bamboo style roof. It can't be like a permanent roof that blocks out the rain like regular boards, but it has to be like some kind of temporary roof. And the exact laws of what kind of roof it has to be is very detailed, but the point is it has to be some kind of like leaf that's detached from the ground and detached from the trees. And it has to be open to the sky such that you could theoretically see stars if you look really closely, and if there are actually stars, which there's not really in New York. But the point is it has to be open to the sky, it has to have this like leaf-like roof structure, and then the Torah commands the Jewish people to eat and hang out in these structures for 7 whole days instead of being in their house. They could also be in their house to like just to get something or whatever, but then they hang out in these structures for 7 days. So that's what the Jewish people just did the past week, essentially, plus a little bit. They ate all their meals they ate, and even drinking water was only inside of these booth-like structures. And this guy named Moshe Rabashkin, who was a really nice guy, he during this entire holiday season, he closes off the street. As you can see, we're actually on the street right now. He closed off like half the entire street, or maybe like a third of the street or something, to basically build this structure to allow people to just eat here and hang out for the whole holiday. And he supplies non-stop food 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, hot food with like lots of workers and stuff. So basically, he built this whole. This was basically used as a sukkah during the holiday of Sukkot, not so long ago. But nowadays, the holiday ended a few days ago. Actually, ended 4 days ago. Was the last day of Sukkot, and that's the last day that Jewish people actually were commanded to eat in this structure. Then after that, immediately after that, like the same day, the same night after that, there was a different holiday, which is also mentioned in the Torah, called the 8th day, the Shmini Atzeres, the 8th gathering, which is the day that comes after the 7 days of the holiday of Sukkot. So that day, that 8th holiday, it happens to be the holiday where the Jewish people finish reading the Torah. Every week, the Jewish people read a little bit of the Torah. And on this holiday that we just finished, the Jewish people finish the Torah. And when they finish the Torah, they also dance with the Torah in the synagogue in 770 Eastern Parkway, where I was just now. It was packed. They had people like you couldn't even move. There was so many people crammed into this tiny little room, dancing with the Torahs, hanging out, and they went all night, like all the way to like 8, 9 in the morning the next day, and they started like at night. So it was pretty brutal. Yeah, these pictures on the wall are mainly pictures of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the leader of the Chabad Hassidic movement, and other Chabad leaders from the past generations. Mainly just the most recent Rebbe is the main pictures, but there's a few other ones as well. And these are called Tzaddikim, perfectly righteous people, who are basically prophets in the modern age. I mean, this is like only in the past couple hundred years, but the Rebbe said in this famous talk in the summer of 1991 that prophecy still exists now in the same way it existed in biblical times. It's only that there was a temporary time where it was like removed from the Jewish people, as it says in the Talmud, that after Malachi, then the prophecy was removed from the Jewish people. But he brought a lot of different proofs that it was only removed for a certain amount of time, but according to the Maimonides, prophecy actually came back to the Jewish people later, and in the year like around 1100 CE approximately. The Rambam mentions the exact year that the prophecy came back and with the reasoning behind it. And yeah, so prophecy came back, and then the Rebbe also mentioned based on that and based on like sources from the Kabbalah and stuff, that he mentioned that his own father-in-law was a prophet, like an actual prophet, like from biblical times. And based on that, people also say that the Rebbe himself was a prophet, basically. So yeah, these people are pretty much prophets according to the Lubavitch teachings. So anyway, so the Jewish New Year, in this past holiday, the Jewish people finished reading the Torah, which is a big deal. To celebrate the finishing the Torah, they danced with the Torah all night. And they also walked to all different kinds of synagogues throughout the city to celebrate, to share the celebration with other people. People walked literally like miles throughout New York City to dance with the Torah in other synagogues throughout the city. And then this past day we finished reading the Torah, the last book, the end of Deuteronomy we read. And then the Jewish people took the Torah scroll, which is a big scroll, and they rolled it all the way to the beginning of the Torah, which took a lot of heavy rolling. And they rolled it all the way to the beginning of the Torah, where we read the creation of the universe. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Someone asked in the comments, are you in the tent in 770? Yeah, we are. Right now, I'm in the Suka that Moshe Rabashkin built on President Street between Kingston Avenue and Brooklyn Avenue. And this very big Sukkah the whole street was closed off pretty much to make room for this, and people enjoy unlimited food for more than a month, which is very nice. And now, even though the holiday of Sukkot is over, but they still have it up to have people eating it, pretty much. But yeah, so What were we talking about? Does anyone actually remember what we're talking about? If they can, then they can mention it in the comments. So make sure you're paying attention. In the meantime, I'll just put this here. Man, I'm trying to balance it on this Coke can, but it's not really working. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Amigo, ¿cómo estás? Todavía nada está perfecto, todavía no gané la lotería. Alejandro, ¿de dónde eres, amigo? Colombia, ¿tú? Colombia, yo soy así, mis primos son colombianos. ¿Sos eres de Bogotá también? La playa. La playa en Bogotá. Santa Marta.
Nice. So, yeah, I was asking someone if they remember what we're talking about, but no one else is commenting, so it's all good. Anyway, I'll just keep talking because hopefully someone's listening. But yeah, this is the holiday we just finished the holiday where the Jewish people finished reading the entire Torah. They read the end of the book of Deuteronomy, and then they started over from the beginning of book of Genesis. And that's basically what we're celebrating. And then afterwards, there's like a lot of people who gathered in 770 to have this gathering, which was pretty intense, pretty packed. And now people are just winding down. After the Sabbath, there's a custom to have a meal of bread to escort the Sabbath into the week, so to speak. So that's what people are doing now. They're fulfilling the commandment. And in fact, the source of this custom, according to some people, goes all the way back to the Jews in the desert. It says on the Sabbath day, when the Jews were in the desert, they got manna, miraculous food, bread from the heavens that fell 2 times every day, one for the morning, one for the evening. And it's basically the Jews were in the desert, so they didn't have any like supermarkets or anything. They couldn't like plant food and like harvest it or anything, so they didn't have any land to plant. So they had to rely every day on this miraculous food from the heavens. But on the Sabbath, and they couldn't even gather it or anything. They had to just only rely on this constant miracle of the Creator every day to wait for this manna, the manna to come from heaven. But on the Sabbath, it says the day before Sabbath in the Torah, on the Friday, the Creator gave them a double portion, more than they usually get. And according to the commentaries, some commentaries, they even got enough food to last until Saturday night. Not only did they get enough food for Friday and Saturday, but they also got enough food for Saturday nights as well, so they could have the custom of eating bread on the Saturday night. So this idea of eating bread Saturday night goes back a long time, at least according to many people, which are accepted. Anyway, so the Jews are celebrating this holiday where they finish the Torah and start reading the Torah over again from the very beginning, which is a very big deal. And in the beginning of the Torah, I keep on mentioning it before other lives, but somehow the idea still did not reach the viral news. So we have to keep on repeating it over and over again until everyone realizes it. That in the first verse of the Torah, the commentator Rashi comes along and says, the first verse of the Torah says, in the beginning, Elohim, the Creator, made the heavens and the earth. But why, Rashi says, does the Torah begin with the creation of the world? The word Torah is like a book of lessons, essentially. So if it's a book of lessons and instructions for the Jewish people, maybe the Torah should have began later, where it talks about the actual lessons that the Jewish people should do, the commandments of the Torah. But no, the Torah starts with a bunch of stories of the book of Genesis and the creation of the world. So why did it do that? So the Rashi says that the only reason why the Torah begins with the creation of the world and the book of Genesis and all that is only in case the nations of the world might one day mistakenly, falsely claim that the Jewish people stole the land, chas v'sholom, from the Canaanite nations, in order to dispel that mistaken notion. It says that the Torah essentially tells us about the creation of the world in the beginning, and as well as the other parts of the book of Genesis where the Creator singles out Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and gives them the land of Israel forever, to show us that first of all the Creator made the land from nothing, since He created the heavens and the earth. So all the land belongs to the Creator for all time. There's no way that anyone else could own the land besides the Creator. So since the Creator owns the land, the Creator has the ability to give the land to anyone He wants to, and take it away from anyone that He wants to, essentially. So basically, the Creator essentially initially, in the beginning of creation, it says He wanted to give the land to the Jewish people, but in the meantime, He allowed some Canaanite nations to live there for just like a few hundred years, pretty much nothing. And then in the book of Genesis, He told Abraham to go out of his birthplace to the land of Israel, and that's where the Creator gave the land of Israel to Abraham and his descendants forever and for all time, and specifically to the descendants of Yitzchak, of Isaac and Jacob from Abraham. And it says clearly in the book of Genesis, the Creator tells Abraham, I have given this land to your descendants forever as an eternal inheritance, that it can never be taken away from the Jewish people, basically. So yeah, pretty much. For some reason I'm not seeing any new comments, so I can't tell if anyone's actually here or not. So maybe I should restart the live. Anyway, I'll see ya.